is Screen Slush, an unhealthy mix of film, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Screen Slush, where we talk about film, TV, pop culture. And this week we're talking about David Fincher. David, I would say, Brent, in my opinion, a good filmmaker.
Yeah, I think a an excellent filmmaker, one of the best working, I would say, and yeah, someone who I feel like is kind of a generational, like a big generational, I think, director for people our age, people who got into movies in like high school, college, in the kind of mid to late 2000s. He kind of got big in the late 90s, and his movies were kind of there as we like got into more grown up, more adult cinema.
Look, let's
And
not skirt around it, Brent. We're Fight Club freaks. We fought.
couple of Fight Club
We were
freaks over here.
middle schoolers joking about the first rule of Fight Club at recess or something.
Yeah.
Parents or teachers are like, what the hell's wrong with these kids? They're talking about
These 9-year-olds have some wild ideas about capitalism. And
this guy's screaming about wiping out credit card debt at me.
these kids are insane.
You're right. Like Fincher, maybe along the lines of like Gore Verbinski, Spike Jonze, Zack Snyder came up with during the whole music video commercial craze, where those were
Michael Bay a little bit.
Michael Bay. Those were like spaces where true talent was being fostered, like memorable music videos that people are like their signature music videos people remember. I mean, of a certain age, of course. And also like I remember like black and white Gap commercials, and I think that was Levi Jeans commercials from David Fincher.
Right.
And that doesn't really exist anymore, but it's almost it was like a fun time for that group of filmmakers to be given bigger projects, explore some things, and then ultimately he won like a Grammy, I think, for a music video he did.
Yeah.
Obviously he got a big studio movie, kind of a hot mess, Alien 3, and maybe colored his the way he treated Hollywood after that point. Kind of similar to James Cameron, who also had a Alien movie and an experience with Piranha, where he sort of it sort of shaped how he viewed producers in the studio system. But Fincher, such control over the medium, an incredibly, I think, like succinct storyteller, and we tell how often he almost has those Kubrickian long process types where he takes like a million takes of one thing until it's perfect. I don't know. Is that like a good description? Like a perfectionist, I guess, in a way?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely kind of the story you hear. And like a couple weeks ago, I saw someone shared a like commentary that he was like a clip from one of his movies, and I'm trying to remember which one it was. Damn, which movie was it? Maybe Zodiac. And he kind of directly addresses that. He was like, all these people, I think it was Gone Girl. He was like, all these people out here always talking about, oh, David Fincher does 60 takes. This shot right here, 2 takes. And we were done. And I was like, that's kind of funny to hear him like addressing it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of his reputation. And I'll say, like, I like the craft in his movies are, I mean, really kind of unparalleled. I think like you can kind of, it's on the screen. I think like the amount of effort and work is most of the time it's on the screen, in my opinion. So, yeah, one of the big guys. And we should say The
yeah,
reason
Brent,
that we're talking.
talk us through why we're talking about. We don't just start every podcast talking about Fincher, although we probably could.
Wait, maybe we could. Yeah, I mean, Fincher is kind of you know, we kind of landed on him to kind of try something fun, try something new, different this week, using Tier Maker, which I don't know if you want to bring it up now or I can
Oh,
just
sure.
talk about it first.
Let's do it.
Okay, so y'all know what tier lists are. If you don't, you essentially rank.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. What what a tier list is, or hopefully you know. If you don't know, you're just ranking whatever various things. You know, it could be movies, it could be directors, it could be painters, it could be bands, it could be anything in the world, essentially. And we decided to pick David Fincher's movies just as kind of a starting point to try this out. I've seen a lot of kind of like tier list, like Twitch streams and YouTube videos and stuff. Seemed like a lot of fun. I feel like it could be a fun little experiment to try for Screen Slush. Maybe you guys will fucking hate it and say never again.
Let us know in the comments.
Let us know, please. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we're gonna do David Fincher's filmography. Gonna kind of rank them.
Yeah.
And okay, so are you seeing my mouse icon?
I am, and we'll say too. One of the reasons why we pick Fincher, we've seen all these movies.
Yeah.
His filmography, although really, I would say impressive, is not like crazy long. Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 12 movies because I don't think we're ranking Mindhunter or House of Cards on our list, which are his TV shows, which are really good as well.
Yeah.
And
Mindhunter. Love Mindhunter.
Like you said earlier, generational talent. So a lot of these movies are huge. I think maybe some of the best work we've seen in the past couple decades.
Yeah. So definitely, well said. So yeah, I mean, that being said, let's just go in order of what it's given us here. Panic Room, kind of general thoughts. Delphin, Panic Room. What is your kind of first inkling of where you think this one belongs?
Panic Room, I think, is really fun because it, one of Fincher's favorite filmmakers is Alfred Hitchcock. And I remember there's a documentary called Truffaut Hitchcock, which is based on the book Truffaut Hitchcock, where Fincher talks about how much he appreciates Hitchcock's control of what not to show on the screen. And I think that's maybe also what Fincher does. Like we talk about his control, but he kind of is very particular about what is even introduced to us, not just visually, but just in tone. And I think Panic Room is a great example of that because it reminds me of a Hitchcock movie because it is set in one house. Like it's temporally just one night. You've got a young Kristen Stewart and you've got honestly, we could probably do a Jodie Foster a tier maker too, but it's Jodie Foster, Forrest Whitaker, Jared Leto. The Leto head, your favorite. Let's do that tier maker.
Oh, well, hey, what you're forgetting, speaking of Leto head, is that he has some fun dreadlocks in that movie. Remember that choice?
He's always doing something exciting. Log it in Leto Box, which is the Jared Leto ripoff of Letterboxd. It's just his movie.
It's just Leto's movies. He's the only one on it. Is kind of the wild thing. It's an app just for him.
It's a movie that's like it's maybe one of his most suspenseful movies, and everything is crafted to that. The whole thing with the medicine, why the people are breaking in, who can hear them. There's some really fun stuff going on, whether or not the calls are being answered. So I really enjoy it.
It's
I don't know. What do you think?
It's a very good, very entertaining movie. Here's the thing that I kind of probably should have said up front is that an interesting thing about tier maker is what is kind of like the upper and lower limit in terms of like what you're grading against. And I think
you need
the way that I view it is we're like grading him against himself, like his own highs, his own lows.
It's a tier maker, but pretty close to like a ranking if we were to give just a 1 to 12.
And so that being said, I'm kind of leaning towards B.
I think that's fair because also it's good when we're doing tiers to kind of have a control group movie. And we can change it, but I mean, like, obviously we haven't gotten to it, but you've got Social Network, you've got stuff like that. And you're like, well, we need to have a control because we need to be able to say this was just really, really
than
good.
Panic Room.
So that's good. I think that's good. But still, Panic Room's amazing. Like
it's great.
Maybe a very rewatchable Fincher movie if you don't want to kind of deal with the existential dread of some of the stuff he's talking about and other things. Watch Panic Room. It's funny because that's like a crazy, insane, dangerous movie, but it's a little bit easier to watch than like Dragon Tattoo or Gone Girl.
It is wild how his filmography, you're like, oh, you want something lighter? Yeah, check out Panic Room.
Yeah.
The movie with panic in the title.
I think it's also like, I don't know. I think it's cool that he made this movie just straight up compared to this other stuff he made. Because I mean, like in the barest form of what a movie is, like he delivers on something that a lot of people have. I mean, people have seen horror movies like this before. And it's just like one of the better ones, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's kind of a relatable thriller where it's just like, oh, people are breaking into our house. It's like, oh, that can just
I get
happen.
that premise. Yeah, you're like, okay, and then you're like,
Jared Leto could just break into your house.
Scary stuff. All right, what's the next movie?
Okay, so it looks like, the bad boys are coming out. We're talking Fight Club.
Ooh,
now this is an interesting one.
Do you think Fight Club as a cultural benchmark has been co-opted by maybe some really bad people? Or do you think, because it is like an angsty thing, it's a little subversive, there's a little bit of conspiracy going on, a little contradiction, a little bit of little bit of Q going on in Fight Club.
little
dash
size Q. I think that a certain kind of college dorm room, kind of dude definitely has, or had a Fight Club poster on the bedroom wall.
I had
for all the wrong, for all the wrong reasons. That kind of thing where you read.
What else was on his wall? You had a Pulp Fiction poster. You have to. You got to have Uma Thurman on the bed, smoking a cigarette.
Pulp
you got to have that
Fiction.
poster.
I'll tell you another one.
What's a good one?
Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints is a big one. Yeah.
Boondock Saints would be on that wall.
Peak of this is like people saying Dark Knight with these posters on his wall. Dark Knight comes out and they say it's the best movie ever made.
This is the best movie ever made.
This is the best movie ever made. Sorry, everyone. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. This is all the same man we're describing.
Yes, it's us. We're describing us.
We're describing ourselves.
But Fight Club, where do you think it is on his list? Maybe one of his more memorable ones in terms of like the proliferation. Like I feel like everyone has seen Fight Club.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of like cultural impact, negative and positive, like whatever. I think, a realization that I kind of had when we rewatched it for my old podcast Director Showdown with Adam, when we rewatched it, is like, this movie honestly ages pretty great.
Yeah.
And what I mean is not so much like time objectively, but it ages well as we age. Like watching it now in my 30s, you take totally different you have totally different takeaways than when you see it when you're like 19 years old.
Yeah.
So I think that's like what great art does, right? So
yeah.
I think it is like an objectively like pretty great movie. I'm honestly leaning towards like A or S.
I would say S more than.
You think S?
No. Sorry, I would say A more than S.
Okay, because S is
because we got other stuff coming. But
I gotcha.
You're right. I think it's it may be co-opted by people who understand text and a little bit of subtext. But I think when you watch it again, you're like, well, there's a lot of really good stuff here, which honestly may be coming from the book. I've never read the book.
I mean, yeah, Chuck Palahniuk is
that's a very the book had a cultural impact even before it was touched by David Fincher. So I think that
sure.
the combination of the two, and I think that's another cool thing about Fincher. He's an auteur, but like Scorsese, he doesn't necessarily write all of his movies. Like he pairs up with other
I don't think
screenwriters.
he ever does.
I don't
I
think
don't
he
think
does
he
either.
has.
And
Yeah.
I think that's like being sort of focused on the translation to film is such an amazing skill. Spielberg is this too. Like so many great filmmakers. You don't have to all be, Ari Aster or like you could make movies and just
And not
kind of
have to write them.
give so much vision into something like this. And we'll talk about that with Fincher later on because he has some good collabs in the future.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So next we have what's the full title? The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Now this movie still kind of feels like an outlier for Fincher. Like it does have a lot of elements of, like the digital stuff, like, digital kind of like CG, VFX, like clever use of VFX and stuff like that. It has that, but it's kind of a story and a feeling that he doesn't really kind of go for often. That being said, it's a movie I like a lot. I think it's a really solid movie. Um, kind of, follows the full life of this guy who's kind of aging backwards. I don't know. What do you think about old Ben Button?
Oddly, it's not a true story. It's a short story, I believe. And it's oddly, it feels like a biographical epic, even though it's about a baby that ages old or whatever, or vice versa.
Yeah, an old man that ages baby.
I haven't seen it in a while. I do remember Meeting in the Middle. That was a huge
great.
Kate Blanchett,
the hottest Pitt has been
fantastic. It is a lot of film, and I think maybe it almost sometimes doesn't have necessarily a super succinct. I don't know, like
through line.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way too. Yeah.
It gives. I mean, it was an incredibly expensive movie, and I think that may be what interested him a lot because it is it's got some new visual effects, digital stuff that they've never tried before happens in this movie. And I don't know. This was a really big studio movie too. I think so many filmmakers were attached to this movie originally.
Yeah.
Spielberg, I think, was at one point. Tom Cruise was. Like, this was a big budget movie, almost $200 million, I think, was its budget at the time. So
wild.
I don't know. I feel like I enjoyed it because Fincher was able to use all of these tools that he's kind of still using now.
Yeah.
Especially the digital filmmaking elements of this movie. I don't know. It's like a powerhouse movie. I would say C though. I don't know.
I think so too. Because if we're talking like relative to his own scale, right? Then I also think C, because like some of the stuff we're going to talk, man, is like, we're going to talk for 3 seconds, then it's going in the S, like, I don't know. We'll see when we get to it, but
it's really ambitious, which I think is amazing. Like, he hasn't really done anything this big since this movie. I would say no. There's other biographical big stuff he does, but the added element of like 10 hours of makeup or whatever and new cameras that they haven't used before. I don't know if he's done that. This is like his biggest movie in terms of just like scale, I think.
Yeah,
which is weird because it's not like a superhero movie.
I guess it kind of is, and that's kind of a wild thing.
He should make a Marvel movie. Fincher.
Get him. He should do.
Bro, he should do an Avengers movie. Due to Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Oh man. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of a thrown for a loop here because Mindhunter is on
in
this
there.
Tier.
Let's do it. I would give it A. I mean, quickly.
I would also give it A.
It's really good.
I think if season 1 was to the level of season 2, I'd probably be saying S, because I think season 2 is like, some of the best shit Netflix or Fincher has done, honestly. But yeah, season 1 is like, it's solid. It's really good, but I
They do,
agree.
yeah. Jonathan Groff is fantastic in the movie. All of the supporting cast, their boss, I forgot her name, is I think one of my favorite
Yeah,
Fincher
from
characters.
she's great.
She's so good in it, and apart, of course, from the murderers and all the stuff, all the friends we make along the way in Mindhunter.
Oh, there's so many friends, especially in season 2. Charlie,
Yeah,
whatever his name is.
and an incredibly like patient show, and also a hard show to make. Apparently, no new season. It's over because it's just
Yeah.
too much.
I
Too
mean,
much.
it did look so good though. Like I felt like it was expensive just watching it, you know.
Yeah, it's man, I think that the creative decision, and it's funny because Netflix has totally reverted against this because they have so many serial killer, nominated shows, but to have the danger be in the recollection and in the motivation, and not so much like seeing a bunch of
Mm.
murders,
Yeah,
is
I see what you
really
mean.
cool because it almost is like how we experience it. We don't that's why we watched all of the Dahmer stuff. Kind of is the
Yeah.
recollection of it all, and then the reasoning of something so vile.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all about the birth of like the what is it? The FBI's behavioral
Yeah,
forensic unit or whatever it's called. Where they're trying to get inside their heads and figure them
yeah.
out.
Sorry, if
Um,
you hear my cat, she wants food. Much
I
like,
thought she was just a mine hunter.
oh yeah, she heard us talking about Fincher. She's like, oh, talk about Social Network, talk about Social Network, and I'm like, we're gonna get to it, kitty.
Hey,
Just you
we're getting
wait.
there. All right. Okay. So far, couple of A's, a B, a C.
Yeah, we may not even fill in that D. I don't know. I don't know. It feels weird to do that.
I
We'll see what other
kind of
movies. I
agree
don't
for
remember.
Fincher. We might have to reassess at the end and see
Yeah,
like
yeah.
relative, you know, and I just realized at least one thing is missing. So that's
Worrying.
damn.
We should have.
That's not great.
We should
I
have
should have double
audited.
checked this.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. 7.
Oh,
Classic.
yeah. I'm gonna say that because it's the movie. So after his bad experience with Alien, this is the movie that brought him back. They were like, "Hey, Spacey, bad guy, Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt. What do you think about that duo?" You know, he's like, yes, please." It
Absolutely.
is, I think maybe my favorite Fincher movie. Like just in and just in terms of personal faves,
Yeah.
because it's about the mortal sins and God and the
Yeah.
the
Punishing the
consequence.
sinners.
Yeah, that I'm all aboard for that. I would put this in S, but it really is because I like these kinds of movies. It is raining 24/7 in that movie.
Oh, dude, the vibe. Yeah, I mean this
Trench
is an
coats
auto
galore.
S.
What's in the box? I
What's
rewatched
in
this. I
that
can
box?
rewatch this movie so many times. You got a favorite mortal sin?
I
I
think
would say
gluttony.
maybe. Okay, I would say represented in the movie, but yeah, it may be actually gluttony too. That was really
Oh, you just talking? Oh, I just thought you were asking for like our fave
IRL.
kind of pride.
Yeah.
Pride's up there. Let's
How do you
see.
say this movie name? I know it's an S tier, but it's 7, but it's got the number in the title.
Seven N.
7.
Seven N. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's 7 in the middle of 7, so you have to say seven N.
Yeah.
That's the correct way. Yeah.
So good.
S.
So good. S.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Keeping this moving. The one that I realized was missing, by the way,
No.
Alien 3,
Oh, okay.
which he directed. What the hell, tier maker?
Yeah.
What's going on?
You know what? I didn't even mind that movie. I think some people would maybe rank
like
it as his lowest, but I didn't mind it at all. And I don't know. Like, I guess it doesn't feel as Finchery as the rest of his stuff. Some
Yeah,
extent, like, the themes are there, but it also didn't marry all the other stuff. But it was a big studio movie.
Yeah, I think. Did you watch the theatrical or director's cut? Because I think the director's cut is the one I saw, and I think it's like 30 minutes longer.
Oh, I did watch that. Yeah, there's kind of a forward in that one. Not a forward. There's like a little bit more in the beginning of that one, I think too.
Yeah, I just think that it is one of the darkest. Even for Fincher, it's dark, and
Yeah.
it's maybe the darkest sequel I've ever seen. Like, I fully understand why people hate
Yeah.
it because it is the most like dreadful continuation of Aliens
Yeah.
that's kind of imaginable. Like, it's so grim. That being said, I mean, I kind of like it. I'd probably say C.
At
I don't know
least,
if
yeah.
I'd
I don't
even
think
put it at D.
I wouldn't put it in D either. Plus, you've got. I wonder, and I'm sure she talks about it, but I am really interested what Sigourney's feelings were on that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Because
curious too. Oh, let me get that out of there. Okay.
she at this point had worked with Ridley Scott and James Cameron. And in my head, I'm like, what was it like to meet a
Right.
young Fincher? Like what that's it's just insane to think
Right.
of.
Yeah,
But I don't
that
know.
would be interesting.
But that's good. I'm glad we talked about it. It would be in C. And truly it's his first movie. So I mean,
Yeah, not
kind of
not a bad
kind of give it
start.
gave it to us good. Yeah. What's next?
Okay, next is Gone Girl,
Oh, okay.
the adaptation of what is her name? Gillian Flynn. I think it's
You
or
got it.
Gillian or
Yeah.
Gillian Flynn.
She wrote the screenplay too. That was a
Yeah,
big deal, I think, when she did
yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure. I think yeah, I had read the book when this was kind of in production because I was excited for it, and the book is excellent, and I think so well adapted into a movie. I love Gone Girl. I think that it's so much fun, and it's such a trashy movie. Like
How
that's
much
kind of my go-to.
how much did you know going into watching Gone Girl?
Well, I read the
You
book
read the book, so
beforehand, so
everything. Okay. Yeah, I just remembered you said that. Okay.
no, I knew the twist, but that being said, like when I read the book, like that twist
Yeah,
was
yeah.
wild, and I was like, oh shit, okay, well I'm about to finish this book in like 2 sittings because I
Mhm.
need to know what happens. Um, but yeah, I think it's so well executed, and yeah, I think the performances are incredible. Like it is such a perfect application of Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Like while I was reading it, I was like, "Oh, Ben Affleck's like perfect for this guy." It's kind of a like, uh, kind of a listen. Nothing against Ben Affleck, but it's the character is kind of this like kind of douchey,
Yeah.
uh, kind of guy, and who kind of
It's
looks like a Captain America or
you
something.
kind of get why he's suspect number 1
Oh
without
yeah,
him having to do too much. But I also kind of relate to that, not in like a well, maybe in a dangerous way. But it's when something really traumatic like that happens, I feel like I would also not react the way everyone would want. Does that make sense? Like I would
absolutely.
be maybe exactly like Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Why'd this guy smile at the
Feel like this
press conference?
guy's just he's not giving us anything. So he's
Yeah.
immediately a suspect. But really good. And honestly, we talked about collaborations early on, but like one of the I think it says a lot when the writer of the book writes the screenplay and also trusts you to make their movie. So there must be
Mhm.
some kind of it maybe in the honest retelling or just the fact that you're at least going to um be really not just collaborative but respectful of what the movie is, which
Yeah.
isn't always the case. But I don't know, where would you put Gone Girl on this list?
See, I'm thinking A.
Yeah,
I don't know what do you
yeah, I
ah,
do A.
I
I
think
do
because the
A or
more I
B, but
see it, I think
yeah,
it's just so fun. And it's
yeah,
like it's so fun despite having a lot of darkness.
yeah.
Um
And Rosamund Pike kind of,
gosh, she's great, man.
underrated in that movie. She'd be a
Let's do A for now. If after all said and done we want
yeah.
to revisit, we
Is
can.
this a polarizing movie? Like, do some people really not like Gone Girl?
I think most people like Gone Girl.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It sounds like I hope so. Like, I don't know where someone would be turned off by it.
I think it did I think it did surprisingly well at the box office, and like reactions to it, I
Oh
think
my
were
god.
really
Yeah, it
positive.
made almost $400 million. That's kind of wild.
That is holy shit. That's crazy. Damn. Man, I
Good for
just
her.
realized this list is missing Mank too.
Oh my
What is oh god. Oh, okay.
the
This is a
movie
test
that
run,
gave
y'all.
who no wait. Yeah, I was gonna say Gary Oldman's Mank, right? He's Mank.
Yeah, he is Mank.
Okay.
I'm so
But
mad that I missed that this doesn't have everything.
the next movie I think is the one that is the least fresh in my mind.
Yeah, me too. It's The Game from 1999. The Game movie. To 1997.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my memory is also kind of I don't remember too much of it.
Yeah. I remember big parts of it is what I'll say. I remember the ending pretty well.
I do remember the ending too.
So there you go.
You think it's C? Let's just toss it and see.
Let's toss it and see. Yeah. Not memorable enough for us. But also
Not-
we didn't like rewatch every movie before the thing. So
that is true. Okay, a big one. Maybe the big one, Social Network.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, I'm sure you and I have talked about Social Network in one of our many, I don't know, top fives or whatever. I'm sure it was on like one or two lists that I made for some shit that
Best
we did
of forever or whatever.
But yeah, like I know it was on my listen. This is a clue into where I want to put it. Is it was very high up on my top 10 for best movies of the decade.
Ooh.
For Director Showdown. This is, with exception to one more we haven't talked yet, I think his best movie. I think it's an incredible movie. It's timely. It's dramatic, funny.
It's the marriage of the Aaron Sorkin script, which has almost this like cadence, which is crazy to me that Aaron Sorkin now makes his own movies. And Fincher's kind of restraint, I think, is what makes this movie just so perfect. Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross.
Dude, so many elements of this movie are, just perfect.
The best Eisenberg role.
The best Timberlake.
Apart from Lex Luthor.
In not the Snyder cut, right?
And not the Snyder cut.
The original.
I mean, this is S tier. I think you're right.
Yeah. I think
so
definitely
poignant. I mean, also at the time, I'm sure people were like, "Oh man, there's some sort of like headline grabbing part of this because Facebook is, it's big now or whatever." But that was just the doorway into the world that Facebook would become. So it becomes even more and more interesting to have a story about the loneliness of the guy that kind of ruined culture forever.
Yeah.
And you got Armie Hammer, your favorite actor. Not only that, you have two of them.
Yeah, two of them.
We got to do a tier maker for canceled actors doubling themselves.
You got the Flash. You got
Social Network. Let's be.
Is there one with two Kevin Spaceys?
Has got to have done something.
I mean, you seen Ghost Dad?
I mean, I could make a case that Usual Suspects is a. I don't want to go too deep there. That one has a canceled director too. It's a double cancellation.
That might be the most canceled movie that's
tier
out
maker list. Yeah, that we've got
tier maker list. Yeah,
but yeah, Social Network up there. I think that's man, so good.
Okay, next to last, penultimate one, because we're missing Mank and Alien 3.
I'm just gonna audit your list real quick as well here. So we talk Alien 3, 7, The Game, Fight Club, Panic Room. We're talking about that soon. I think we're good. Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Unless we're talking TV, because then we could throw in Spacey again with House of Cards.
Oh boy,
he's everywhere, baby.
Only season 6.
He's acquitted. The juice is loose.
Oh no. Okay, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Now, second only to The Game. This is one, and I think you were in the same boat.
Yeah.
That I saw in the theaters. I remember liking it quite a bit.
It's over a decade ago too.
I really got to rewatch this movie. This and The Game, I think. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I would probably do C.
Okay.
Because it's not super fresh in my mind. I remember
it's a tough watch.
Skarsgård's in it.
Skarsgård is good.
Skarsgård is good. It's got Rooney Mara. It's got James
Daniel
Bond.
Craig, of course.
Daniel
Rooney
Craig.
Mara, I think maybe one of her biggest role. Like, there's a lot for her
Yeah.
to do in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. It's really, really moody, kind of intensely moody. It is a remake, which is not like a slight against him or anything, because Scorsese does remakes too.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just been such a really, really long time since I've seen this movie.
Yeah,
I think part of it is because of the content. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to rewatch this movie. Does that make sense? Like it's a tough one too.
It is, yeah.
And Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross again. Frequent
Again.
collab. Yeah.
All right, let's go see.
Yeah.
And I'll probably rewatch it. Wait, I'll find where it's free to stream and check it out, because I just remember so little of it. I need to rewatch it.
Well, you know what's weird? Do you remember when Netflix was sending DVDs? That my parents got the. I'm gonna just double check what it's. It's a remake of the Swedish movie Girl. We watched it. One of our first Netflixes ever was the Swedish Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. So I watched that movie. While I was in high school, before this movie came out. So I don't know. I'm sure that colored it a little bit for me too.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Netflix DVDs that you got? Like what
Absolutely,
they were?
man. Yeah. That was big in high school. That's how I got especially once Blockbuster went under.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I guess Netflix is how I'm getting my movies now.
It's crazy that you didn't have to pay any fees, you know? Like that was the wild thing to me. Because Blockbuster, look, we sound really old. Hollywood Video Blockbuster, literally the next day, you were scared to bring it back because you had to pay some like $5, it was going to add up.
Yeah.
Like they were so hardcore about it. And then Netflix was like, send it back or whatever.
Or fucking care. Who gives a shit? We got 800,000.
I remember I would get like a DVD that's all scratched up, and I'm like, I hope it plays. If not, I'll just send it back. It's like low, low stakes, whatever.
Yeah, that was a fun time, man. It was a good feeling going out to the box and getting like, I got 2 new movies. Hell yeah!
That was the opening salvo before they completely destroyed the theatrical model, right?
Hey, you like movies?
Nice. This is convenient.
Not anymore.
And now they're like, okay, well, no more.
Shut that down. Sorry.
All right, we got one more. Is this really the last one already? Wow.
Yeah, because listen, if I had my way, who am I kidding? I'd put Mank at like B. Mank is a movie I really, really like, but last one.
And Mank 2 is maybe like it was a personal project.
Mank 2?
For him. No, not Mank 2, The Return of Mank. More, it's even more black and white than ever before.
Even mankier.
Did he win an Oscar? Measures, the DP, or no? Did that movie not win the Oscar?
Maybe a Globe, or it got nominated for a bunch of stuff.
Well, Mank famously, we just talked about how he didn't really write his own stuff. Mank was written by Fincher, his dad.
His dad.
So, super personal for him.
Very cool.
I'm just gonna double check that Eric Messerschmidt did not win. He did not win. Cool.
Yeah.
Win? Oh wait, no, he did win. He won Best Cinematography for this movie. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Oh, that was the kind of weird COVID Oscar year. The weird one.
Yeah. Do you want to know what else was nominated that year?
What? Nomadland,
Trial of Chicago 7, Sorkin, News of the World. What?
Oh, okay.
That Tom Hanks movie. Remember that? And Judas and the Black Messiah, which I do remember. But sometimes you're just like, what? That I remember that movie.
The hell? Okay. All right.
Okay. Final. Yeah.
Speaking of should have won a bunch of awards, beautiful cinematography, etc. Incredible movie. I'm kind of burying the lead here big time, but Zodiac, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, the 2007 movie.
2007 movie starring half of the Avengers, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo,
and Mysterio.
And Mysterio is in there. We just got to get Brian Cox into the MCU.
Oh, we got to get Brian Cox into the MCU. Absolutely. I I love this movie.
It's so good.
I don't know if I can, even still after seeing it, I don't know, 7 or 8 times probably now, maybe more, pinpoint what it is about it. But it is such a, I think like Fincher is a guy who is very process oriented. Like his movies always kind of show a process, and obviously he's a perfectionist.
Mhm.
I think that ties into what Zodiac is about and the kind of timeline it follows, the story it's telling in a perfect way. Like I just love the kind of the process of it. It's them trying to figure out who the Zodiac killer is. I think it's use of violence and like
Yeah.
recreating the kind of murder scenes is incredibly scary and
Mhm.
effective. Like maybe even to this day, like maybe the best that kind of thing has been done by a movie. Like that's not in any way glorifying anything, but showing kind of like the brutal
Mhm.
reality of it.
A sort of
Yeah.
theme he continues with Mindhunter in a way, like
Yeah.
just showing the
Mhm.
laboriousness of investigation and police work.
Yeah.
And then the brilliant, because the Zodiac killer, nobody knows who he is. We assume there's always some article
Well,
every year
yeah.
that says this is the Zodiac killer.
Yeah.
But I feel like this could have been incredibly exploitative, but for him to have the murders be exactly what the eyewitnesses described,
Right.
um, and not including the murders where there were no eyewitnesses because we didn't know,
Right.
like, and such the red herrings, the mistakes, the letters, the press, all of that sort of culminating into confusion, which is why they never
Yeah.
caught the Zodiac killer, was because people just
Yeah.
were not focused. And also there were varying reports, but these were the reports. Like, there was a guy who looked out his window and saw a thing. And that's all they had to go
Yeah.
on. Like, and I feel like that's what makes the movie so special. Because it subverts maybe some of what people assumed the Zodiac killer movie was going to be about.
Mhm.
And there's a resolution in terms of the theme of the movie and the story, but
Yeah.
without a guy behind bars, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, kind of also just as poignant as a Social Network in a way too, because we're kind of still
Yeah.
like this was his murder podcast, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, he's kind of tapped into something
Yeah.
kind of
You
zeitgeisty
gonna put this in the
before.
S tier?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I think so. Is that what you're feeling?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. That's
Now here's
fine.
a
That's
question.
correct. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
looking at our S tier, Brent.
Yeah.
What would you do 1, 2, 3? Because we've got up there. We've got 7. We've got
Ooh.
Social Network. We got Zodiac. We've kind of filtered it to those 3 as being his best. What's your gold, silver, and
Damn.
and bronze
So
medal
we're
there?
doing sub tier. We're doing
Yeah.
sub tier now.
You
Okay,
got to
for
do a
me,
fuck, marry, kill.
with those 3 movies.
Should not have cussed that out.
Here's what I'm thinking. For me personally, 1, 2, 3,
Mm-hmm.
Zodiac, Social Network, 7.
Wow.
For me personally.
Okay.
What's yours?
I would maybe just flip Zodiac and 7. I love 7. Social
Yeah.
Network's up there. I would say objectively, we probably would agree that Social Network's probably 1, for everyone to
Yeah. That's
for all
we
you
could
Twitter
probably agree on.
freaks to agree with. But he doesn't really have a movie that is like unwatchable, which
Mm-mm.
is kind of rare because there are some big filmmakers,
Yeah.
albeit more prolific than this. Like I feel like you'd have to get to like 30 or 40 before you're like, well, I'm not gonna watch that one-off movie that Spielberg made or whoever
I
made.
mean,
But he doesn't
yeah.
do that, so he's not a Woody Allen type in more ways than one. But
Yeah.
all of his movies incredibly rewatchable and like intriguing and really, really, I would say, sound and impactful, no matter
Definitely.
the
Yeah.
message.
Yeah, I mean, I think listen, spoiler for maybe another one of these. We almost did Spielberg. We
Yeah.
probably will. But yeah, I mean, for him, I mean, honestly, there would have been, there would have been some D's for sure. I
Yeah.
think like,
Yeah.
oh
Some
boy,
head scratchers. Yeah.
yeah,
You're
some
like, okay.
1941s. I mean, always,
Oh
no
my
thanks.
gosh. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, some duds there. So I mean, yeah, but Fincher, I mean, yeah, it's
And
great filmography. Yeah,
I think a huge part of it is he's not opposed to doing stuff for speaking of Netflix. He's one of the big Netflix guys, maybe the one that
right.
started the whole idea that Netflix could be for prestige cinema. The first filmmaker to get like a mega deal from Netflix, tens
Right.
of millions of dollars to make House of Cards there instead of a TV place. So
Mhm.
really what we're saying is blame Fincher. He's the reason why Netflix is I'm just kidding.
His fault.
But I
Yep.
mean, like he kind of saw the freedom at Netflix, and to his credit, took all of it. He was like, okay, you're gonna give me
Yeah.
unlimited budgets and no creative notes. I'm gonna freaking make a great Kevin Spacey star vehicle.
And I'm gonna make a who knows how much it was. It's probably
Yeah.
out there, but $100 million black and white kind of Hollywood biopic of a
Yeah,
writer.
I would even
And
say
yeah,
Hollywood adjacent because it's about a guy making another thing. Like it's
that's true.
it's
That's true.
very
Yeah.
like it's more about alcoholism than it is the movie he makes.
Yeah. Oh, and The Killer is
That's
Netflix
huge. Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah,
Of
and I
course.
think that's
Gotta be.
really why this is kind of relevant in some way is
Mhm.
he's back, baby. He's made a
Finally.
movie that kind of is a culmination of his partnership with Netflix, his work with digital cinema, um, a whole lot of things, and maybe even, I mean, seemingly a fit for kind of this crime sort of
Yeah.
genre that he revisits so often. Because some would say Social Network is also a crime. Um, Gone Girl,
Uh-oh.
crime, the game. There's crime in that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see The Killer. And we talked about it on one of the last things we recorded. It's like one of my most anticipated. Incredible director, amazing filmography. I don't know. Yeah, any more thoughts? I mean, this was fun to try out. I don't know.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
probably do this
so.
again.
I
Good
think it
time.
makes sense to do it with Fincher because at least we'll
Mhm.
know they're all really, really good. Um, man, we should do
Yeah.
a Shyamalan one. That one I think would be a little bit
That
different.
is a
You know?
see great ideas for days with tier lists,
Yeah.
man. Like you can just throw anything at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
That is a great idea. I'm down to do Shyamalan next.
We got to do like 17 tiers for him or something.
Yeah, we could. Yeah,
Because
make all sorts
the
of different
difference
lists.
between Signs and some of the other stuff is, I would say, bigger than 5
Mm.
tiers sometimes.
Yeah,
You're like, oh man,
I
this one
yeah,
should be
that's a
in a
good
different
point. We
tier.
maybe need like an
No,
eight
it's fine.
tier
It's nice.
list.
It's nice to force us into this, and the screen can't manage really fast what we already
That's true.
5 that we
Yeah.
have. Well, any final thoughts on David Fincher? We'll be watching The Killers, of course. Or sorry, The Killer, not the band The Killers.
Well, yeah. It's
Oh,
not.
we
He's
can
doing a
get back into
biopic.
it. Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah. Stay tuned for more screen slushes where eventually we'll talk David Fincher's The Killer. Hopefully it's as great as it seems like it might be. And yeah, I guess let us know if you like us doing tier lists. They're a lot of fun on our end. So yeah.
Thanks so much for listening. Oh, hold on. Let me switch to this.
Mm.
Goodbye. Just for the last